Hey guys, it's Mrs. C. I am on a marathon of Unit 1, I'm going to call it. It's 2 days, I think, before I've got to go back to school. It's Sunday. So I am working. It's Sunday and I'm working for you. And mainly when school starts, I'm crazy and I don't have any time. So I'm in my living room and I'm trying to think, what do they need to know for Unit 1 so that they can get the most out of class time and literal equations. Let's just say it. Literal equations. Can you say it with me? Literal equations. They are, I think, arguably the hardest thing to find practice on. Not the hardest thing, but the hardest thing to find practice on. What are literal equations? Well, literal equations are, let's start just, they're like formulas, really. I don't know. Here's a classic formula. A equals L times W. Do you know what that's a formula for? Yeah, it's finding the area of a rectangle. To find the area of a rectangle, you multiply its length times its width. But what if somebody's not asking you to find the area? What if somebody's asking you to find the width? Which means they gave you the area and they gave you the length and they want you to find the width. Well, a different formula would be nice because then you could say, well, let me solve for W. And that's exactly what a literal equation is. They'll say for W. And in most cases, they give you a formula and ask you to solve for the letter, not to get a value, just to manipulate the formula so that you could plug and chug the numbers that they do give you in, meaning the computation's easier. You got to work the algebra to make the computation easier. So how do we solve for W? It means that this W needs to be by itself. Well, in order to get a variable in math by itself, it's just like solving any equation. And if you're in literals, it's because you've already mastered linear equations, which are just regular equations. So you already know how to get a variable by itself, right? You've divided the field, and you ask yourself what's being done to the variable, and I'm just going to undo it. Well, what's being done to W? Take a look at it. It's being multiplied by L. How do you undo multiplying by L? Exactly, divide by L. Well, I got this line, might as well use it, right? Divide both sides by L. And what happens when you divide L by L? It cancels out, becomes a 1W. So W's by itself. Don't freak out that it's on the right. I don't care what side of the equation it's on, as long as it's by itself. That's my deal. And then what do I do with A over L? I leave it. I don't have to do anything. A over L. Now this is where everybody gets, I think, a little bit freaked out. They don't even understand that they've got their answer. Let me just sidestep it over here. If I have W, somebody gives me, if I'm trying to find out what the width of a figure is, I need to know what the area is and divide that by its length. That's it. So if I gave you a rectangle and I told you its area is 15 and its length is 5, how would you figure out the width? Well, the formula right here tells you. You can find the width by taking the area and dividing by the length. The area is 15, divided by 5 is 3. Voila, that's W. Now here's the deal. You're thinking to yourself, I don't need a formula for that. That's easy. Well, yes, that one's easy, but trust me, not all formulas are created equal. All formulas are equal. It's their equations. But, alright, you didn't see the humor in it. Maybe this can help out. Do you see the humor now? Alright, so these are a bunch of formulas. Not all of them are formulas. A lot of them are, and now I know it's a little bit blurry. Sorry about that. I'm going to post this in your Google Drive as a probably a JPEG, so that you can have all this practice on literals. A lot of these are formulas. You'll probably recognize them. A lot of the ones that have A's or have, say, V's for volume are actual, authentic formulas to find something. And I'm going to shrink that down because the blurriness is driving me crazy. And if I move it up, you need 2 fingers to move up, you can see even more formulas. And it'd be kind of cool how many of you can identify the formula for these when you look at that. Do you recognize it's the formula for what? Guarantee you, if you see pi is definitely a formula, right? Some kind of a circle, something going on with a circle. Let's take a look at a couple of these just for fun. based on your experience in life itself, you should be able to tell me what that's a formula for. Let me find another one. You should be able to tell me, I just saw it. Where did that little stinking, oh, the one right above it. I don't know if you can tell me that one, but it's a good one. In future, you're going to recognize this baby. Maybe you recognize it now. I don't know. What about, I'm just scanning. I just saw one other one that I recognize. This one. And then there was one down up here. Oh, one of my favorites. And I'm looking for some science formulas. It'd be interesting if you could find some of the science ones. I'm seeing if NARP's going to be happy with any of these formulas. Oh, I love this one. That's a popular one. Oh my goodness. Any of these look familiar to you? Some of you are going, no. Let me. Oh my heavens. That's a classic right there. Okay, I could just keep, probably if I spent too much time, I would wind up boxing every single one of these. Oh, sorry. I got to. Okay. All right, so there's a couple things for you to, chew around. Oh my gosh, one more. Okay, I promise. I'm going to stop. I'm going to turn. I'm going to move. I'm not going to even look at them. These are all literal equations. And what would be a good idea is if you actually practice solving some of them. Now, you can rewind this video and copy some of them, because I know I've probably given you a screenshot of the entire page at this point, so I might as well just go ahead and give you the gold, right? What would gold be in this case? Gold would be the answers. So these are all your answers, right, from problem number 1, and then take a peek, and I'm going to move it up so that you can see these guys also. And again, just rewinding the video will give you the actual picture of the answers and the problems themselves. I've never stumbled upon this much practice. Some of these are harder than others, for sure. So if you grab a problem and you're practicing, you're getting ready for the literal assessment, and you come to a problem that you just can't do, that's okay. Bring it, write it down. Remember, we have a place when we do the video logs. So if you're doing this video, you just write down a couple of these problems in the extension section down at the bottom, or photocopy this and just staple the whole stinking thing and bring it into class. It'd give you and your group tons of practice, and surely you're going to give me a run for my money when you're trying to actually solve for a given variable. I'm going to just scan this and pick one that I think wouldn't be too crazy hard, but would be worthwhile to do. And I think the one I'm going to pick is the number 15. Solve A is equal to P times the quantity of 1 plus RT, and then solve for T. So let's just go off to the side. So this is a formula for what's called accumulated interest, I think. And it's principal, and the accumulated interest, R is rate, T is time. So we see that A is equal to, the accumulated interest is equal to the principal times the quantity of 1 plus the rate times the time. And if I can remember that, it'll be a miracle. A is equal to, what did I say? The principal times 1, excuse me, plus RT. I just don't remember what they said to solve for, so I'm going to just go back. They said they wanted us to solve for T. No problem, right? Okay. Now, a lot of you looking at this thing thinking, why is she writing a J? It's not a J, it's a semicolon. It's the best I can do. So, let me change colors, because red is so, I don't know, it's intimidating color. I'm solving for T. Where are you, T? T is there. So, the object of the game is to get T by itself, and T is literally in the thick of battle. I wish somebody said solve for A, because A is already done, and if solve for P, that would have been a piece of cake. But they said solve for T, and there is just about everything in the world being done to T. So every little thing that's being done to T, we have to undo it from the inside out, not from the outside in. You want to go from the inside, and you want to slowly, from the out, rewind, playback. Whatever's being done to t, we want to slowly undo what's being done to t. So let's see, if we go the farthest out, we see that p is timesing to that quantity, right? And then after that happens, we have 1 being added to the product of r and t. So it's a whole lot of stuff being done to t. So let's just see if we can get t a little bit less involved. So one thing I like to do, instead of dividing by p, because some of you might be thinking, maybe if I just divide both sides by p. Yeah, that's awesome. You can do that. Look at that. The p's cancel out. But you create a fraction over here on the left. And you guys don't always work very well with fractions. So maybe dividing by p, like right off the bat, isn't, if it was the only step, then I'd say have at it. But because it's not the only step that we have to do, maybe, just maybe, we could do something else first. I'm just saying, it's a thought. And then I'm going to go back and show you what would happen if you had divided first. Why don't we do this? Why don't we just distribute and see what happens? P times 1 is P, and P times RT is what? Do you know what P times R times T is? It's P times R times T. It's PRT. And then you have A. Okay. Now we're solving for T. So I'm trying to get T by itself. And in essence, I just have to get this entire term by itself first. So let's minus P. That's closer. So now I have an A minus a P. I can't take P from A. I don't know what either of them are. And now I have a PRT. Now you see the relationship between the P, the R, and the T is all multiplication. So the undoing of them is division. And divide by as much as possible. So if I'm trying to get T by itself, I want to divide by P and by R, both of them, because they'll both cancel each other out. See this and that. P goes into P once, R goes into R once, and 1 times 1 times T is T. And then 1 times 1 is 1. And you don't need a 1 in your denominator, right? So when I do this cancel out step, I don't show the 1s, because I think it's a little confusing. Don't forget the left side. Whatever you do to one side, you must do equally to the other side. T is isolated. I've done my job. I'm done. I am done. I am finished. The actual answer in solving for T is equal to A minus P over PR. That's what T is equal to. What's that saying? It's saying that if you're trying to find how much time it would take you to earn something based on how much principal and how much accumulated interest and the rate and all of that, then if you are trying to figure out how much time, it means you have all the other data. You know what the accumulated interest was. You know what the principal was. You know the rate at which you're paying and getting the interest. And this was a 1, not an I. I'm going back up here because I just thought for a minute. Don't think that that's I for interest because I said interest. It's accumulated interest. So why did I pick this one? I'll tell you why I picked this one. It's interest. It's probably the farthest from your wheelhouse, they say. The thing you understand, that's Bella. Hi, Bella. The thing you understand the least is probably interest and financing. In most cases, teenagers don't have a firm grasp on interest. Hey, lots of adults don't have a firm grasp on interest and market rates and principal and accumulated interest. So it's very obscure to you. That makes it harder for you to understand it. And I say, hey, don't understand it. You don't have to understand it. You have to be able to get the letter by itself so you can use the formula. That will make it even easier for you. Those are answers. Oh, I wanted to check my answer. That's what I was getting at. I said it was number 15. I got T is equal to A minus P over PR. A minus P over PR. And that's how, of course, you can use the answer key to help you, because a lot of this is obscure and you're not sure if you're doing it right. Let's come over here and do one that I can do in my head would be help. No, Bella, you can't come in right now. Hang on. Oh, this one. Let's do 18. S is equal to 2 pi RH. I can remember that. S is equal to 2 pi R. Oh, she's in so much trouble interrupting. S is equal to 2 pi RH. S is often used for two different geometry things, because my dog is distracting me because she wants to come in. And hang on a second, because you're going to walk with me while I let this dog in. Yes, woof. Okay, here we go. I figure you might as well come with me and you can hear. I wish I had this on video. You could see how happy she is that I'm letting her in. Come in, you bad dog. And she's in. Okay. So S is used in geometry to denote two different things ordinarily. One is more common, and you may or may not know it. It's surface area. And the other reason we use S, oftentimes we use it for what's called slant height. The slant height of something, or the diagonal. Now, normally, slant height doesn't come into play until you're doing some higher level geometry formulas. And the fact that this is a capital S tells me it is most likely surface area, because we capitalize area and volume typically. So this must be how you find the surface area of, well, I'm looking at it, I think it's a cylinder. I think it's a cylinder. I think this is the formula for finding the surface area of a cylinder. And I'm feeling pretty confident with that. It's pretty much just using pi, so I knew it had to do something with a circle, right? H is the height of the figure itself. R is the radius of the base. And the formula is telling me if I multiply 2 pi, R and H, nope. Yep, nope. Where's the R squared? No. If I was going to find surface area, I would need to square something in order to get those circles. So now I'm not thinking that that is surface area. Okay, so off we go. You out there, you know who I'm talking to? Could you figure out what this is the formula for and come back to class and tell me what it is? It's not surface area. Got to square something to get an area of a circle. Okay, so anyway, it doesn't really matter, because that's not what they asked us to identify what the formula is for. They are asking us to solve for H, if I recall properly. So to get H by itself. Now, this is, but there's a lot going on. First of all, let's not underline pi or S. Let's underline H, because that's the one we're trying to get by itself. And there's a lot being done to H, but it's all the same thing being done to it. 2 times pi times R. 2 pi R is timesing to H. And so in order to undo that, all I have to do is divide by it, 2, the pi, and the R. That's going to get H by itself. The 2, the pi, and the R. The 2's cancel out. The pi's cancel out. And the R's cancel out, leaving H. And then we have our answer. H is equal to S over 2 pi R. Should we go back and check? This was number 18. H is equal to S over 2 pi R. Very good. All right, guys, I'm leaving you plenty of practice. More practice than you would probably ever need to be sufficiently masterful in literal equations. So I would highly recommend trying a couple of these in class and seeing if you get the right answer. That way when you come into class, you're going to know whether you know what you're doing and can help other people and practice for yourself, or totally clueless or somewhat clueless. That will give you an idea as to whether you need to sit with me, am I totally clueless, or somewhat clueless, find somebody who isn't clueless, work with them, practice, and or talk to me about it. So lots of choices, lots of things for you to do. Again, I want to be done in under 20, and I am just about there. If Bella hadn't have made me get up and let her in, I would totally have made this clearly and easily under 20 minutes. Might have even done 15. Guys, see you in class. See you on the flip side. Peace out.